I'm an emotional manifestor in human design. Somebody best described this to me as being the ignition in a car, and I'm there to start a lot of ideas, to give birth to lots of wonderful things in the world. But I won't, and I don't have the stamina to always follow them through. And that just means that I need people in my life to support me.
Hi, I'm Beki Eekens, business mindset and lifestyle coach for occupational therapists. I focus on creating a freedom-based online business, helping OTs to package up their skills in unique and exciting offers that feel so good that they sell with ease in the online space. Since leaving the profession of OT, I have now worked with hundreds of clients online, helping them to create a life they feel inspired by. In this podcast, I will talk about the lifestyle goals, mindset, and strategy you need to create your own life of freedom.
I wanted to bring an expert into human design onto the podcast. I met the wonderful Meg, who is Whole Being OT on Instagram. And I did meet her in a reasonably funny way, just because it so mimicked our human design. She'd created a really interesting post that I resonated with. It was beautiful, it was well presented, and it pulled me in. And I initiated conversation. I immediately felt Meg's warmth, excitement, and passion. And it was a very short interaction, but I led immediately onto asking Meg to work with me. It was quite funny. It came very, very quickly. And that's partly because I'm an emotional manifestor in human design. Somebody best described this to me as being the ignition in a car. And I'm there to start a lot of ideas, to give birth to lots of wonderful things in the world. But I won't, and I don't have the stamina to always follow them through. And that just means that I need people in my life to support me. I need a network, I need a team. And I have hundreds of these ideas that just fly into my mind at top speed. And I've got great surges of energy to get them started. But then all of a sudden, it's just lost. I still love the ideas, but I have moved on. My energy can just disappear when that happens. So quite honestly, it's taken some time, but I moved my life into alignment with my natural energy, my natural human design. And it made such a big difference. But as a business coach, this did give me a bit of a problem because I think there's only 8 or 9% or something of the world are manifestors, and I can see that everybody's got a unique coding. And I could just see that some clients found tasks that seemed very easy to me. But other people would find them difficult, and they would find things very easy that I found so difficult. So I just wanted to, in order to provide the best service to my clients, I really wanted to use this human design as a tool in order to be able to open up different ways of creating a business so that everybody, when they understand their own human design, can actually set up a business that falls within their own flow, that follows their unique energy. It felt like the missing piece of a jigsaw, just because it really allows people to become and develop the real version of themselves. It helps people how to understand making decisions in life, how to create content, set up their business in a way that's really going to avoid burnout. And at the end of the day, that's one of my biggest motivating factors. So myself and Meg, we decided to collaborate in a smaller way back in December 23. And we just started working with a smaller number of clients together. It was actually a very successful launch and attracted a lot of attention. And I believe that's because it was so exciting to people. People could feel that they were going to get good results. And it's actually been incredible work. And what we found is the closer that myself and Meg work with the clients, the better results we get for them, or with them, I should say. So Meg has an incredible way of breaking down human design. One of our clients said that she'd worked with many other human design experts over the years, but that Meg, and she put it down to having this OT background, was just able to break down the human design in more of a meaningful and practical way that the client could actually get results with. So I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave you in the capable hands of Meg to introduce what human design is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meg Smearelia, and I am a holistic occupational therapist and human design coach. I am so honored to be here guest starring on Beki's podcast to share all about what human design is and how it can help your life. So, a little bit more about me. I have been a holistic occupational therapist for nearly 7 years, and I primarily have worked in mental health. Along my journey of mental health, I was on a search to support my clients as much as possible with understanding themselves, improving their self concept, and ultimately living a life that brings them joy, peace, and satisfaction. Along my journeys of all these different holistic studies, from becoming an aromatherapist to Reiki 1 and 2 attuned, I found human design. And let me tell you, my whole life really did drastically change. And not only my life, but everybody else in my personal life, in my business life, and now hopefully you as well. So, when we think about human design, we think about it as a system. So, some people hear this concept and they're like, what are you talking about? So, we have all these systems for understanding anything. So, human design teaches you how to understand yourself. When you think about things like Myers-Briggs or engrams, those are often personality tests. And personality tests are awesome and they're really fun and they can give you a lot of information about how you function and some tips and tricks along the way. How human design differs is it's a really deep system and it uses your birth information versus a test-based system. So, what happens is you enter your birth data into a system and it's going to spit out a very confusing looking chart for you. So, if you haven't done this for yourself already, you can go to all these different websites. One of my favorite is freehumandesignchart.com. Type in your birth information and see the chart that gets pulled out for you. So, this chart is going to tell you lots of different numbers and shapes and lines, and you're probably going to be hella confused. Now, the nice thing is with that, you're going to get a report that's going to give you some information. So keep that on hand as I talk through or when you listen back, and it will help you understand how to read this chart that is really a chart of you and of your energy. So when you think about it, we're all made up of energy. The whole universe is made up of energy. And this is a way to read how your energy is meant to function. It's going to tell you your purpose. It might even tell you where your energy gets blocked. And this is why it can be a really empowering system for understanding your true nature and developing a deep level of self-awareness. Because when we're aware of ourselves, we can make more poignant changes and we can really direct our life in a way that's going to be best suited to our unique energy and not the energy of everyone else, because we all talk about how we're all unique and we're all special, but we're often all trying to fit into the same boxes, whether that's in our family life, in our jobs, in relationships. So human design is really a tool to free you of all of those conditioning blocks that you've been taking in from family and society as a whole. And it brings you back home to yourself and how you're here to live out in this life. I could go on and on about all the different ways that human design can help you. But before I do that, I would like to give you a brief snapshot on the origins of human design. So, human design originated from a man named Ra, who synthesized multiple scientific and ancient systems into this one system. So, what are some of those things? On the science end, we have quantum physics and genetics, and how the cosmos can actually change our gene expression. I only know so much, but it's really interesting the deeper you get into it. In terms of the ancient art side, we have the Hindu chakra system, which many people in the holistic field see energy through that chakra system. So, human design uses a version of that chakra system to help us understand how our energy moves, is expressed, and how it impacts the world. Because if you think about when you walk into a room and you have this energy bubble that sometimes walks in the room before you do, and that is going to make a huge impression on everybody around you. If you're in a grumpy mood, people might be able to pick up on it. Even if you're smiling and pretending like everything's okay, they're going to feel your funky energy. Just the same as if you walk into a room and you feel somebody just glowing from the corner and you really want to interact with them. They didn't say a word, but you could feel their energy. So, this is the power of using the chakras within the system of human design. Another ancient art in human design is the I Ching. And the I Ching tells us about things called archetypes. So if we think of ourselves as playing different parts in a movie and we have all these different character traits and these different ways that we express ourselves in the world, not everybody's the same. We all wear different hats and different costumes in different ways that we're here to express ourselves. So the I Ching helps us understand some of those ways that we're here to be on display. Another ancient system within human design is the Tree of Life or the Judaic Kabbalah. And this is really cool. It's not religious whatsoever. I'm involved in human design, but it's really cool at showing us our innate strengths. And again, we're not all one size fits all. So when you know what your strengths are, you can weave those into things like a business that you're creating or a program that you're doing at work, or even just how you play in your day-to-day life and making sure that you're capitalizing on your strengths. The other area involved in human design is astrology. And some of you are probably going, oh, that's so interesting. And others of you might be rolling your eyes. And whichever one you are, I love you both. And I'm so glad you're here regardless. I am a huge believer that when we understand the rhythms within our own bodies, the rhythms within nature, and the rhythms within the stars and the cosmos, it just makes your life flow a whole lot easier. And astrology is one of the key pieces to human design. And it shows us how our different energies are expressed. And it also shows us how to really get into the nitty-gritty of how to change our lives for the better and embody different pieces of our personality to attract the things in our life that we really, really want. So that was your crash course on what are the origins of human design. And as you can tell, there's a lot there. So it is a really deep system. It's really not meant to be surface level. And as a mental health occupational therapist, I have really always been searching for a system or an assessment tool, in a one way to say it, that can really help clients feel seen and validated and heard, and also have a roadmap to change and to come into the version of themselves that they've maybe always wanted to be. And they totally have the capability of being. And for me, learning human design has been really the missing link in a lot of my studies. And if you can't tell already, I'm a little bit innovative and cutting edge. And I really have learned to embrace that as an occupational therapist. For a very long time, I would have been absolutely terrified to come on a podcast and talk about human design and astrology and really looking at these deeper layers of who we are as people to help clients transform. And I'm using my own design to find the courage to share this with you because I've seen with my own eyes the drastic difference just learning one piece of somebody's human design can do for them. I've had clients brought to tears in sessions and just feel so extremely validated. And I think as therapists, we're always looking for ways to deeply connect our clients with themselves and their own inner essence, and also to do it for ourselves. And that's really when the transformation changes. When I started learning my own human design and applying it to my life, it led me to quitting my really prestigious job and taking a risk and starting a business and changing my location and picking up and moving across the country. And that was all things that I was able to do because I trusted and followed my human design. And I have seen time and time again how much it can improve and enhance my life and how it can improve those around me. So if you're still listening in, I highly recommend continuing to explore your design. I do want to leave you with a couple more tidbits on ways human design can enhance your life. And like I mentioned, it is a very in-depth system, but that doesn't mean that it has to be complicated and confusing. And I'm really here to hopefully make it simple and easily applicable to your life. So I wanted to share a couple of the simple, practical ways human design can enhance your life if you so decide to explore this tool for yourself. So, one of the things, if you pull up your human design chart and get that report from freehumandesign.com, free human design chart, free human design, Google it, it'll tell you. Freehumandesignchart.com. If you pull up your chart, you'll see something, you'll see all these funky words that probably are confusing to you. So, one of them is called your energy type. And there's 5 energy types in human design, and those energy types function differently. So if you think of someone who would have what we would call a generator energy type, those are the people in your life who are super passionate. They pick something and they run with it, and they have a lot of energy to do the projects that they're really lit up by. And they can probably hang out at the party a little bit extra long than some of us like me who aren't so energetic. Another way to think of energy type are those of us who are a little bit more slow motion. So myself, I am considered what we call a projector energy type, and I need to be really mindful to take lots of breaks and lots of rest. And let me tell you, when I was working in the hospital, I had a really, really hard time doing that, and it led to a lot of burnout. So if you're looking at your sheet and you learn that you're a projector, a manifestor, or a reflector energy type, you're one of those individuals who really needs to learn how to have really healthy balance, boundaries, and rest. Now, the last type is called a manifesting generator, which is a combination energy type of the manifestor and the generator. And those individuals have a whole lot of passions. They're the ones who might have a diagnosis of ADHD or feel like they have something wrong with them because they want to do everything. And they get really excited and really, really playful. And they sometimes don't know where to put their bountiful energy. So, can you see when we just generally talk about these different kinds of energy types, how knowing yours could be really great for things like your self esteem, knowing where to direct your energy, where not to focus your energy, and how to really practice general self care that's going to set you up for success in all different areas of your life.
I recorded a mindset meditation, one that you can do overnight. Very powerful in terms of helping you create the confidence, the self-belief, and deal with any money mindset issues. I use these kind of overnight meditations all the time. I found them incredibly powerful. So I've created a very special one, and I'm giving it for free to all of my podcast listeners. You can download it on the show notes.
So, we have our energy type that we just talked about, and we could go into much greater depths, but we'll save that for another day. Another great way that human design can help and support you is called your strategy, which is your strategy for bringing things into your life that you want, that are really good for you, that are really healthy for you. And there are all these different kinds of ways that we can do that. But in your life, if you're not aware of your strategy, sometimes you're not bringing the things into your life like you want, like that new relationship or that new job or that new house that turns up on the market. So it's kind of like a life hack to attracting the things that you really want in your life. Human design, in my opinion, really, really shines with supporting us with decision making. We call this your authority, and there's a variety of different kinds of authority. When you think about it, If you learn your personalized, specific way for making decisions, then your life has to run extremely smoothly. Because when you are confused, doubtful of yourself, outsourcing and asking everybody else, what am I supposed to do with my life? You're no longer finding the authority within yourself to set your life up for the way you want it to go or is meant for you to go. So, in human design, once you learn your authority and how you're meant to make decisions, it is one of the most freeing things. And that has really been what's led me to make a lot of drastic, healthy changes in my life. And I hope that you choose to explore that for yourself as well, because if nothing else, I say that is the most amazing, life-changing piece of human design. And I have clients come to me all the time who just don't know what to do. They're very stuck in their head. They want to make the right choice and they need to figure it out. And human design really allows us to come out of our head and into our body. And all of these decision-making strategies are really coming from tuning inside yourself into that interoception and really being able to piece out the best course of action within your body. And our mind can be amazing, but it's really not meant for decision making. And that was a big mentality shift for me as an occupational therapist who looks at things like executive functioning and all of these strategies. And it really just gives you a very straightforward process that you can apply to your life today and just experiment and notice how things get a little bit better and a little bit easier and a little bit more synchronistic, dare I say. Okay, so I'm going to share 3 more pieces about human design today and how they can help you. And just know there's a whole lot more, but these are the most essential to keep things simple and applicable. So we also have this green flag, red flag signals in human design. And when you learn what we call your signatures, these are going to be kind of like emotion words that are going to help you know if you're on track with your life or if you're not. So, for example, if you are the energy type of a manifester, and you realize that you have a lot of anger management struggles, or you're just angry all the time, or you're exploding, that is definitely a sign that you're really out of alignment with your true nature, which is to be the opposite signature, which we would say is peaceful and really in your peace. So if we think about somebody like Beki, who I'm going to call her out, she is a manifester. I let her know when we had a session together that to be really thoughtful of when she notices she's starting to get to this place of anger. And it's really a sign for her to look and to make sure that she's claiming her power back. Is she making decisions in the way that she knows is best for her? Is she trusting and honoring her energy type? Or is she totally burning herself out or yada, yada? So using these green flags and red flags, and they're going to be different for different people, for different types. So definitely look at yours, are really helpful. So like I said, for a manifester, it's going to be if you're in your anger, life's probably not going so smoothly. It's time for a change. But you're really looking to find things that bring you peace. If you are a generator, you're going to be in your frustration. That's going to be a really key emotion word for you, that things are out of balance. And when things are going really well, satisfaction and pleasure are going to be key words for you. If you are a manifesting generator, you're a combination of the manifester and the generator. So both of those sets of words, anger, frustration, and peace and satisfaction, are going to be your keywords. And our last two, our projector signature themes, are going to be bitterness. For me, whenever I notice I get a little bit resentful, it's always a sign I'm feeling bitter and it's time to reevaluate my life. I'm really looking then on the opposite side to anchor into this concept of success. And this is not just material success. It is, for me, success laying in my hammock in the afternoon on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is that moment when I go, wow, I've really changed my life and I feel so successful. And our last one is our reflectors. And if there's a reflector here, I'm so excited because you're 1% of the population. You want to be mindful of when you feel disappointed in life. And it just really brings you down. And then you want to notice when you feel delighted. What delights you in your life? These are some of those emotional and key states that you can tap into depending on what your energy type is to let you know if your life is on course or needs a bit of a redirection. So I've shared quite a bit, but I have 2 more points I'd love to share on how to learn the essentials of your human design. We have these energies, right? We talked about the chakra energies. And when you look at your human design chart, there's all these shapes. And those shapes we call centers, and they're kind of like your chakra energy centers. And there's 9 of them, and they have different life themes. So when you know the 7 chakras, any of you out there who know the 7 chakras, those themes are similar in 7 of those chakras. And then we had 2 extras added in. So, long story short, things like how do you get inspired? How do you think and create strong opinions? How do you use your voice to market yourself or to say what you need to say? Who are you as a person and what direction is it that you're meant to take? How do you manage money? And how do you deal with this concept of self worth and value? How do you build up your energy so that you have enough to kind of get the things you need to do during the day done and turn it off when you don't need to? How do you stay healthy? How do you manage your emotions? So, obviously, there's a lot of different things you can look at with these centers. And this is where it starts to get really fun because you're bringing those layers down a little bit deeper and noticing how people really do have different strengths and different barriers that they have to overcome in their life. And I would say pretty much every single time when I'm working with a client or with myself, and I see we're working through a block, a shadow, a sticky point, it's almost always on one of those isn't colored in. So as you look, you'll notice some are colored in, some are not. Don't worry about that. Just know that there's these different themes in there. And as you dig deeper, you learn a lot about yourself and how to heal and how to come into your greatest wisdom and potential. All right, the last one we're going to cover today on this kind of crash course of how human design can help you and what the heck it is. We have what we call your profile, which are these 2 numbers that kind of look like a fraction. And each of those numbers have a different meaning. And this is kind of like, again, if you were this character in a movie, what roles were you here to play? And those are these 2 roles that you're really here to live out in this lifetime. So, learning those numbers and how they interact together is really helpful. So, for anybody here wanting to start a business, they're really good for things like branding and marketing. And for anybody who just wants to know how to show up in life in a way that feels really authentic, maybe it could be a bit of a growth edge stepping into these. For example, mine is a 5-1. So, I had to learn to get more comfortable talking to humanity and putting myself out there in front of other people and strangers who I haven't met before and guest starring on people's podcasts and putting my knowledge out there in a way that maybe feels a little edgy and uncomfortable to me, but that's my destiny. That's a part of my path. And the more that I've leaned into that, wow, the more opportunities come up. The fact that I'm even on this podcast right now, the version of me 6 months ago might not have even believed it. So it really allows you to grow into the person you're meant to be. So, we've talked about several of the ways that human design can really impact your life. And hopefully now you have a little bit more of a foundation from this crash course about what human design is and some of the ways that it can support you. So, if you're curious to learn more, if you haven't already, definitely go ahead and check out your human design chart. You can Google any free human design chart and enter in your birth information. And if for some reason you don't know your birth information, a quick disclaimer is I would recommend starting with like 1 a.m., then doing like a noon, and then maybe doing like 11 p.m. and seeing which one of those reports seems most true to you. If you do the free human design, freehumandesignchart.com, you will get, I believe, like a 12-page free report that will give you a little bit of extra information. and enjoy the rabbit hole. Once you start, it feels really good to be able to see yourself reflected back at you in a way that maybe you haven't before. In some areas, you might be like, that's so me. In some areas, you might be like, really? Is that me? And I guarantee you, as you learn more, you start to realize it's really who you're here to become. If you'd like to learn more from me, you can see me. I mostly hang out on Instagram at Whole Being OT, WHOLEBEINGOT. And truly, it's been an honor to be here and to share what I really nerd out about, because I've seen how much of a difference it can make. I've felt how much of a difference it made in my life, and it's just so amazing to see it in others. So if you're curious, stay tuned, and I hope and plan to be back with Beki soon to share more ways to use innovative strategies as an occupational therapist to enhance your life and all of those around you. Much love.
If you've enjoyed listening to the wonderful Meg and you want to know how you can work with Meg and myself, please take a look at the show notes. We've created an offer that allows close working with both of us in order to get really big results in your life and business design. Both Meg and myself are focused on you designing and creating a business that works with your natural flow of energy. This means creating a freedom style business that allows for your ease of life, but whilst deeply listening to your internal guidance. And when you design a business in full alignment, it has ease and flow and just affects the whole energy of every area in your life. So the results we've got so far with clients have been truly exciting. This work is powerful. So have a look at the show notes for more information of how you can join too.
If you are an OT with 3 to 10 hours per week spare, then the OT Yourself to Freedom membership is best for you. It will teach you how to create a business, an online freedom style business, but in an affordable way. And this is best for those of you who haven't got the time to really go for it. If you have the time to go for it and you want to achieve bigger results in a short space of time, what you're looking for is the OT Freedom Collective. This is for OTs who've got 10 hours a week or more and you're just really keen to get big results. That's where you're going to be closely supported by our team for a 6-month period. It will be intensive. You'll learn everything you need to create this freedom style business. And the biggest word that people say about it is that it's life-changing.